All the parents, if you're a parent and your child is in pre-K to elementary school to high school, I'm calling you out. The children today, I have never experienced, and I'm 22. Having to teach and work with you guys as children has been the most traumatic experience of my life. I teach 5-year-olds ballet, 5-year-old girls ballet. I have a class of 10 students. They don't respect any authority. You ask them, can you stand in your designated spot? They're telling you no and shut up. They're throwing things at each other. They're throwing things at other people, other classmates. You say, can everybody sit in their spot? I don't want to. I'm not doing that. You don't get to tell me what to do. You're not my mom. You confront the parent. The parent tries to argue with you and fuss at you because you tried to reprimand and redirect their kid. I told a young little girl, please sit in your spot. You're not my mom. You don't tell me what to do. Okay. When her mom came to pick her up, I said, hey, your daughter's having a hard time following instructions. And 7 times today, I've had to redirect her to just sit in her spot. Well, clearly she didn't want to sit. And mind you, this is a mom. Clearly she didn't want to fucking sit right there. So, I mean, if she's telling you she don't want to do something, why keep asking her to do it? You know she's not going to do it. What world do we live in? Like, what in you guys' brain as a parent says, my kid not following any directions is a great thing. It's not that serious, and y'all don't have a right to tell her what to do. It's sad. It's sad. It's really, really sad. And another thing that's heart wrenching is horrible.
You know, I sometimes blame the system, and I sometimes blame the cops, and I sometimes blame politicians, right? But I think parents need to be held accountable
Mm-hmm.
to a degree. I don't blame all parents because I think some parents are overwhelmed. I think they're working 2 jobs, a single mother, and there's a lot going on. There's only so much they can give. I blame the government for encouraging divorce, not fixing the home to a degree. I blame the church. I think there's a lot of churches who are not encouraging marriages. And I tell people all the time, if you pick in a church, don't pick a church where there's a lot of single person, women or men. If you find a church where the marriages are very much broken, at least half of the members are not married, I would say go to another church. That's not good for you. I'm so serious about that. Um, but those parents, though, like those parents, like they need to be held accountable. I don't know how we're gonna that should be done, to be honest. But I do think something has to be said. I don't know who's going to hold them accountable. I'm not asking for the government to do it because they're another problem. Um,
Some parents cuddle their kids way too much. Point blank, period.
yeah. For example, like we have kids, right? In Chicago, when they were doing those teen night takeovers, these young men and young women were dancing on top of cars, breaking down and looting stores. But they were like under the age of 16, under the age of 17. So most of them will do what they do and they will go home and go to sleep. So no parents will notice. It was like they will be out till 2 o'clock in the morning doing teen takeover, and they come sleep in your house. No parents is saying, wait a minute, where you been? What are you doing? Where you at? This can't happen in my home. Like, I know some parents are doing it, but it seems to me the vast majority are not. And there has to be some way the state has to work with parents to empower them to hold these teens accountable, these children accountable. And I think when we went after parents saying you can't discipline your children, we create another problem, and that's kind of what she's referring here to as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because as soon as you say you can't touch them, you can't spank your kids or none of that, I'm like, I'm all against the abuse, but to say you can't discipline your child, it's like spare the rod and spoil the one, spoil a child.
Mm-hmm.
And like, look where we are today. Like, these kids are only 5 years old. Like, come on now.
I sent you a link to that video.
Okay.
Horrifying. It is horrifying. Your 5-year-old daughters are asking to listen to Pound Town and Ski Yee. Your daughters, your 5-year-old daughters are asking, can we hear Pound Town? I'm playing them Princess Tiana ballet music. And they are asking me, can we hear Pound?
Wow. She's overwhelmed.
Yeah,
She's honest. You could tell she cares for these kids, man. She just
Yeah.
wants kids to be better.
it's heartbreaking.
It is. It is. She's pouring out her heart because she loves you. She loves your children so much. Oh, by the way, this is Sexy Red. This is the Pound Town lady. I don't want to blow up these pictures because I don't want you to commit any sin in your mind. But here's the thing. This is what your children are listening to. This is the woman who's setting an example for these 5-year-old daughters. Um, I don't know why black people promote this stuff.
I don't know. I personally, I find it revolting, but
Just whatever. Yeah, it's all about. I can't read the lyrics. I'm just gonna look at it. We're not gonna go far with this. Okay, I'm out of town. Talking with my round, my pink, my booty. I mean, you serious? My booty hole brown. Where the NIGG? It's like I can't even read it. Come looking for the hoe, for the hose. Quick playing. Come such. What is this? That's not even proper English. Pound Town. Just left Pound Town. He just took a. God. Oh my Lord. The NIGGA did. What did he do? Like, why would anybody listen to this? Looking for a hoochie daddy? So this is how you go about getting one? So, all right. These are like the type of people that should not have been famous. Period. Like in the ghetto, they call that a hood rat. They call them like the kind of girl who's gone around a sidewalk. Anybody knows? I mean, I'm not here to disrespect women, but in the hood, this is not an individual anybody promotes.
Some women deserve the disrespect, though. They bring it on themselves.
Like, this is not something any children should be listening to. This is not someone anybody should follow
or look up to.
We shouldn't look up. That's not an exemplar for our children. But this is what is being promoted to these kids.
Congratulations, ladies. There's your women empowerment.
Yep.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I'm so scared for these little girls today because this is the most insane agenda push I have ever seen in my life. We do freeze dance. You guys' daughters are twerking at 5. Where's the parenting? Where's the boundaries? Where's the help? Y'all are not helping your kids. You're hurting.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. You mentioned it. Cardi B with rap. I didn't know what that even meant. I had to go look up the word. And I think, yeah, they had to educate me on what this was. I was so old, still old. I have an old soul. So anyway, you know what rap represent, right?
Oh, I know. I wish I didn't.
Yeah, these are prostitutes who are being talked about in a positive light. These were people that, yeah, they were like strippers at one point in their lives. They are the ones now being promoted in a positive light. You know what's crazy? Cardi B, when she had to have an interview with Joe Biden, I don't know why Joe Biden wanted to talk to black people. He went to Cardi B. It's a problem to me. There's like Thomas Sowell. There's like Candace Owens. There's like all these people you can actually talk to.
Because she's like the whitest black person?
Yeah, I guess. You want to talk to black people about black issues, you went to Cardi B of all people. Anyway, but you know, that's when Joe Biden was talking to Cardi B. She actually looked like a church girl. So this tells me like this woman knows what she's doing. It's not like she doesn't know. Look at her. She looked like one of those, you know.
Fake.
Well, she does look fake, but at least she looking like the kind of girl you can take to your mom, at least from the look. I mean, I don't like the hair color,
Well, I
but
mean, as long as you don't know her history.
until you find out. But the thing is, the fact that she dresses decent to meet the president, it tells me that she knows exactly what she's doing. When she goes and promote that content in front of of our children, when she goes around doing stuff like this in front of our children, there's a purpose behind that.
Hmm.
There's a message that she's trying to promote. She wants our sons and daughters to get wrapped up in this because from what I heard, she's got a happy family. She's with her man. They're doing great. They're building houses all over the place. You know, but you promote this kind of music to our children, though. Like,
You know, there's only one reason he's with her.
well, of course. I don't know if I want my wife to be going out there exposing her body like that. Like, nope, not me.
Only for the money.
Yeah, of course.
Them. You guys are hurting them. I come every day dressed, ready to go, and I'm in school too. I'm in college. I mean, I put bows in my hair. I'm wearing leotards. I'm trying to get them interested in like proper things for their age, and you guys are exposing your kids to this raunchy secular music. Why is you guys' 5-year-old's daughter singing Pound Town? And it's just really, 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 it's upsetting. And I feel so bad. And I've watched different techniques, soft skills, soft parenting, gentle parenting. I'm patient. I don't yell. I'll say, hey, let's regroup. If you guys need 5 minutes, let's do some breathing. Your kids are telling me to shut up. You guys as kids are saying, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. You're not my mom. They're putting they're hitting each other and hitting other kids. You address the parent. The parents are telling you, you don't tell my daughter what to do. It's not that bad. Well, at least she was in the class. At least. It's all these excuses. Y'all come in and you're more worried about what's going on your Instagram and TikTok feed versus being a parent. Be a fucking parent. You guys are horrible fucking parents. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but this generation of some of the mom, not all, but majority that I've dealt with kids that are between the ages of 5 and 4 and 3, you guys don't parent your children at all. They have no basic comprehension skills. They can't sit still, no attention span. They're hitting people. They can't talk. They can't communicate. They don't even know how to say, like, I want to go to the bathroom. If you ask them a question, they're rude, nasty, horrible attitudes at 5, and they want to hear Pound Town. What are you guys doing with your kids? What are you guys literally doing with your kids? Because I have never in my life experienced something so horrible. I literally don't even want to teach ballet to you guys' kids anymore because they are so hard to work and deal with. And I literally see why the teachers are quitting. And you're
So sad.
Yeah.
Well, I think the rebuke is needed, though. Parents do need to step up. There's been too much games. I don't know why we do this. We tolerate these behaviors on our children. I mean, we I don't know. I mean, you're a father yourself. I mean, how what kind of counsel would you give to parents today who are dealing with this crazy nonsense?
Stop letting your kids get away with crap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they step out of line, make sure you do something to correct that behavior. Get
Yeah.
them back into line.
Okay.
You know, make sure they understand that the behavior that they displayed or did is unacceptable and that they're not going to do it again.
Hmm.
Doesn't necessarily mean you have to physically beat your kid. There's ways around that, but they'll get the point that there are consequences for their actions, one way or another. And, hopefully that corrects the bad behavior. If not, then you'll have to figure out something else. If that doesn't work, then perhaps maybe take them to counseling, find out what's going on, or even just sit down and talk to your kids. You know, find out what's going on in their lives, communicate with them. You know, like younger kids, probably not so much going on in their lives that's going to really bother them, but like you get up there in years, like teenagers and young preteens, they probably got something going on in their lives that causes them to lash out and have these types of behaviors.
Hmm.
So just sit down and talk with them and communicate with them. Be like, look, what's going on? What's happening? Why are you doing things like this? Why are you doing this? Is there something you need, or is there something that I can be there for you for?
Yeah.
What's happening in your life that's causing you to act this way?
Yeah.
And until they can give you an answer, you just
Hmm.
make sure that they understand that the type of behavior they're displaying is unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I think that's that kind of wisdom we need today. But how do you, like, as a parent? I'm a father myself. I got some things that I can share, but I would like to hear from you guys in the comment as well. So, how do you, as a parent, raise a child in a society where they are so exposed to so many different things, like technology and all that? Right? It could be a blessing. It's also a curse. Um, they, they are consistently watching things that not good for their minds. The state says you can't spank your child, or else they will take them from you. There's a lot of other things going on. So, how do you? I don't know. What would you say?
One thing I found to be very effective was physical exertion.
No. Okay.
So, what I did was I had them do what's called riding the motorcycle. Being from the military, I used what I learned in the military in discipline techniques to translate into my parenting skills.
Right.
So basically, if you put your arms out straight in front of you
Mm-hmm.
and then you stand up and you're on the balls of your feet with your knees bent and your back straight, and you hold that position until I tell you you're allowed to go.
Mm. Yeah, that's great.
And you have them hold it until pretty much they get to the point where they just about can't hold it anymore. And then when they're done, you sit down with them and have a discussion. Why did I have you do that? Go over the reason and go over the explanation of why were you in that position? Why did I put you in that position? Why did you have to do that?
I appreciate you saying this because oftentimes when we discipline our children, we don't tell them. And I've learned it's always good to sit them down and explain to them why you're doing the things you're doing. Um, and I make it a good rule of thumb to pray with them afterwards.
Mhm.
Um, so, what beside that one, what other discipline would you recommend as a father that is not gonna fall in line with abusiveness and none of that?
Grounding.
Grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like prime example, I caught my son watching Prawn,
Hmm.
and we turned around and looked at his browser history, and it was pretty lengthy and it was pretty bad.
Okay.
So he wasn't allowed to use the internet for over a year.
Wow. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Whew.
And we just basically cut him off from the internet for a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only thing he was allowed to do was play video games.
Wow. He's probably saved his life.
and he's never watched it since.
Praise the Lord. Yeah, I had caught my younger brother and my son, my 12-year-old. As soon as I caught him, I sat him down and we talked. He never went back to doing it.
Hmm.
You know, I think parents we can intervene. Thank you for the counsel. I think we have to intervene. We have to know what's going on in the son's life and our children's life. But it's more than correcting children. Like I heard a lot of Chinese families complaining, like they go by rules a lot. They got two parents in the home, but their parents are not actually involved in, like they're involved in their education, but they don't really care about the child as an individual. Uh,
Hmm.
I've heard that complaints coming from a lot of Chinese children. So they may be very successful, but they're very unhappy. Um, I,
See, now here's the thing, Mad Catter. It's not wrong to say, and to a degree, I'd agree with you. But
mhm,
that only works for so long because once they start getting older and they get into the school system and they start beating it into their heads that abuse is wrong and they can learn to call CPS. This happened with my daughter
mm,
because when she was notorious for coming home and leaving a trail of all her stuff behind throughout the house. And one day I tripped over one of her shoes and I got really upset about it because I got sick and tired of tripping over all her stuff when she come home. And I told her, next time this happens, if you don't pick up your shoes and you don't get up off your butt and pick up your shoes right now, I'm going to throw it at you. And she's like, you do that, I'm going to call CPS.
no, she did not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, she did. Then she found out that I wasn't joking because the
They-
shoe landed in the chair right next to her head. And
yeah.
I said, I got really good aim. Don't test me. She got up and picked up her stuff.
So don't mess with Darth Vader. Um, yeah, I think parents we gotta be bold, we gotta be strong, and we gotta be loving and kind. So there's that sternness and kindness. We have to learn how to mix the two.
Hmm.
You know, you gotta be soft for the inside and hard on the outside. You know, my kids, they would climb on top of me, on top of my head, and all over the place. But at the same time, I can make that frown from across the room. They get the message. I'm the kind of guy who will sit down and watch a movie with them. I'm like, okay, let's watch a Mr. Beast video. You know, I'll sit down and watch the whole thing, um, and really share the thought and perspective that I have, and really invest in them or reading a book together, doing math work together, and all that. So, but at the same time, my son knows if I go quiet or I just look at him straight, he actually start fixing whatever he knows he's doing wrong. So I really haven't had to use a belt. I really haven't had to spank anybody. Um, I haven't had to do that.
No.
And even when it comes to spanking, there's a rule that I've also learned. Don't hate, don't use your hands whenever you're spanking your child because the
Hmm.
same hands you love them with, you're not supposed to use them to beat them.
Hmm.
Um, use a belt, but you only spank in the palm of the hands, and you have to tell them how many ahead of time. And when the spanking is done, you gotta have a talk with them about why, and you gotta let them know spanking is one thing I don't want to do. So you kind of have to let them know you hate doing this, but if they push you to that limit, you will use it. But you have to be really controlled with it because I've learned this time parents we lose control with the belt. We go too far with it. But
I have to admit, I did spank my daughter one time,
oh yeah,
and I used a wooden spoon to do it.
yeah, yeah,
And because I didn't have a belt that was
yeah,
capable
yeah,
of doing it.
yeah.
So, and the reason why
Hmm.
is because she snuck out of the house in the middle of the night to go hang out at a party with her friends,
Oh
where I
wow.
found out there were a bunch of boys there
How
who
old was she?
were, she was 13 at the time,
Oh no.
13 or 14, somewhere around that age.
Mm.
And there were a bunch of older boys there and they were all drinking. Yeah, I definitely was not happy.
oh no.
So
Any loving parent would not.
I turned around and I gave her three whops on the butt, let her go to her room, and think about what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And then about an hour later, I had her come down and we sat down and we had a discussion.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Darth Vader. These are some good words of wisdom. We needed that.